Everyone assumes that intelligent people simply know more facts, more answers, more information about everything. But that's not really true. The real difference isn't about how much they know. It's about how they think, how they approach problems, and how they deal with situations that usually overwhelm others. You don't need a perfect memory or top grades to be considered smart. What truly matters is learning to think the way smart people think. Today, I'm going to walk you through 5 simple ways they use their minds differently. These ideas aren't complicated, yet most people never fully understand them. If you begin practicing these habits, you'll notice changes quickly. People will start coming to you for advice. Challenges won't feel as stressful, and you'll feel more in control of your life. So let's get into it. One of the biggest differences is that they don't fight just to be right. Most people turn disagreements into battles. They argue, get frustrated, and try to prove the other person is wrong or foolish. But smart individuals take a completely different approach. Instead of arguing, they ask thoughtful questions. Not tricky or sarcastic ones, but genuine questions. They might say, "Can you help me understand your perspective, monsieur?" Or, "What led you to think that way?" Their goal isn't to win, it's to understand. And here's the interesting part. When you stop trying to win and start trying to learn, people become less defensive. They open up more. Real conversations begin to happen, and that's when minds can actually change. Smart people understand that you can't force agreement, but you can guide someone to think more deeply, and sometimes they'll change their own viewpoint. Another key habit is that they focus on the bigger picture. Most people get stuck on small, isolated problems. They fail one test and assume they're not capable. Someone rejects them and they feel worthless. One bad day makes them think everything is falling apart. But smart people step back and zoom out. They don't see a single failure. They look for patterns. Maybe they need a better study method. Maybe they need more rest. Maybe they need help in a specific area. They treat rejection not as proof of failure, but as feedback. They ask themselves what they can learn and what they can improve next time. When you zoom out, problems stop feeling overwhelming and start looking like puzzles. And puzzles can be solved. Instead of panicking, they ask, what's really happening here? What can I control? What's my next move? They also avoid wasting energy on things they can't control. This is a major difference. Most people spend a huge amount of time worrying about things outside their control, what others think of them, whether something might go wrong, or situations they can't influence. All that worry does is drain energy and create stress. Smart people follow a simple rule. If it's outside my control, I don't give it mental space. Instead, they focus only on what they can actually change. They can't control the weather, but they can carry an umbrella. They can't control others' opinions, but they can control their own actions. They can't guarantee success, but they can control their effort. This mindset saves a lot of mental energy, which they use to solve real problems and improve their situation. When you stop worrying about everything, you gain the ability to focus on what truly matters. Another thing they do differently is use silence as a tool. Many people feel uncomfortable with silence. When a conversation pauses, they rush to fill the gap. They speak without thinking, just to avoid quiet moments. But smart people are comfortable with silence. They take time to think before speaking. They listen carefully instead of interrupting. They allow others to fully express themselves. And here's something powerful. Silence makes your words carry more weight. When you pause before answering, people pay closer attention. When you listen without interrupting, people feel respected and understood. Quiet individuals often come across as more thoughtful, not because they know more, but because they choose their words carefully. Try this simple habit. When someone asks you something, pause for a few seconds before responding. You'll notice your answers become clearer and more meaningful. The final habit, and possibly the most important one, is that they pause instead of reacting. Most people react instantly to situations. Someone cuts them off and they get angry. Someone says something rude and they respond immediately. When things don't go their way, they complain or give up. But smart people create a gap between what happens and how they respond. They pause. They take a breath. They ask themselves, is this worth my energy? What's the best way to respond? If someone is rude, they don't immediately react with anger. They might think, maybe this person is dealing with something difficult. This doesn't mean they're weak. It means they're in control. The person who stays calm when others are emotional holds real power. The one who thinks before reacting makes better decisions and avoids unnecessary conflict. When you put all of this together, it changes how you see intelligence. You don't need to be the loudest voice in the room. You don't need to have all the answers. You don't need perfect grades or a prestigious background. What matters is how you think. Ask questions instead of arguing. Look for patterns instead of overreacting to single events. Focus on what you can control and let go of what you can't. Become comfortable with silence and think before you speak. Pause before reacting to anything. Most people won't practice these habits. They'll continue arguing, worrying, and reacting without thinking. But if you choose to apply even one of these habits, you'll start to notice a shift. You'll see solutions where others see problems. You'll stay calm in situations that usually cause stress. You'll make better choices because you're thinking clearly instead of reacting emotionally. People will begin to notice the difference. They'll start asking for your perspective because you handle things differently. The best part is that none of this requires you to be born with special abilities. It doesn't require exceptional talent or intelligence. It simply requires awareness and practice. It's about choosing your thoughts, controlling your reactions, and developing better habits over time. Real intelligence isn't about knowing everything. It's about thinking in a way that leads to better outcomes. And once you understand that, you can start building it step by step. Now, the only thing left is to take action. Don't try to apply all 5 habits at once. That usually leads to frustration. Instead, pick just one. Focus on it for the next few days. Maybe you want to practice pausing before reacting, or maybe you want to ask more questions instead of arguing. Keep it simple and stay consistent. Over time, that one habit will become natural, and then you can move on to the next. That's how real change happens, gradually, one step at a time.